Alright, here we go. This is part 3 to what if female Deku was the Armored Titan. Now, like with the Xenomorph one, I hadn't seen it in a while, so I had to go back and watch part 2 to figure out where I left off, and I now will pick up from there. So, I had gotten a name suggested for Hera's brother, and it's right here, I believe. Let YouTube load up, if it will. Oh, dang it. Hold on. It was it was right here, Aaron Ackerman, so thank you, Mega Man Slowbro, for suggesting that. Now, back to the what if. So, we'll pick up a couple of hours later after the USJ incident. With Hera's legs being fully regenerated, but her arms are about at where her wrists. Her arms regeneration is about to where her wrists are. So her hands are the only thing that still need to regenerate. So while that is happening, Hera is currently having a meeting with Nezu. Oh, I don't think I described what their unit's uniform looks like. Alright, so it's basically the Marlene trench coat, and the armband is a combination of the Marlene Warriors emblem and the Wings of Freedom from the Scouts. So if you guys have seen Attack on Titan and you know what those two symbols look like, put those two together and then boom, you've got their symbol. So Hera is currently in her military uniform right now, as she is discussing the meeting with Nezu, thinking about who the potential UA traitor is, as she would note out multiple people, most notably being Denki Kaminari, Toru Hagakure, and Aaron Ackerman. As these people would be pointed out, Toru mainly because she is invisible, Denki because there is a lot of talk about Denki being the UA traitor, and there's some evidence behind it as well, because I watched a theory on it. If you guys want to know what that theory is, you can look it up. And Aaron Ackerman mainly because he would want to see his sister's downfall. So, now the other pro heroes are there, and they're currently discussing this. They would also note that Aaron's quirk is quite similar to All Might's power, with Hera stating that is true, but when Aaron was injured, she could also see that there is steam coming off of his injuries. So it is possible that he also has the same ability as she does, which everybody does take into account. As by the end of the meeting, Hera's hands have fully regenerated back to their full capacity, with Peak and Annie being happy about this, as they would then head back to the dorm room. And I don't think I mentioned this, but Hera is the tallest out of the three of them. Not sure if I mentioned that, so I might as well mention it right here. So, with them returning to the dorms, everybody was still in shock about how Hera went berserk during the USJ attack and devoured that Nomu, as she would also she would actually be discussing something with Pieck and Annie away from the ears of everybody else, as she would be discussing about who the UA traitor could be, with Hera presenting her theories and Annie and Pieck going over the information that they currently have on them, and a lot of them agree that it could possibly be either Eren, or it could be Toru, or it could be both of them. They don't have enough evidence for that right now, but they will keep that in mind. As Bakugo would still be angry that somebody who's about as old as him is so high ranking and is technically already a hero. So he's quite angry that Annie, Pieck, and Hera are stronger than him. Why? Because Bakugo has an ego the size of the entire planet. And Eren is wanting to best his sister in combat because he sees how powerful she's gone and he wants to best her. So Eren walks up to Hera and challenges her to a fight where she is in her Titan, as Hera would state, all right then, as she would walk out as they'd both walk out to ground beta, with Hera telling Aizawa about this, and Aizawa forwarding it because he also knows that Eren is quite egotistical and thinks that he should be taken down a peg or two or several. With Pieck being handed a knife Hera being handed a knife by Annie and Pieck, as she would take it and cut her hand, as she would then shift into a Titan as it would begin to form, with Eren biting down on his hand and beginning to shift into his Titan. And yes, it is the Attack Titan, but it doesn't have its hardening ability, so it's like halfway through Season 2 Eren's, it's Season 1 Eren's Attack Titan. So they would begin their fight, with Hera clearly having the upper hand here, as Eren would have been sent flying by the first punch. Since Eren hasn't been training with his Titan as much as Hera has, his Titan is still going berserk. So he's still quite like a mindless Titan. As Eren would try to land a hit, but anytime he would land a hit, his Titan's hand would just explode, sort of like how Aaron's Titan did when he first fought Reiner's Armor Titan, with Hera having quite enough of this, as she would then harden her fingers into claws as she would cut off Aaron's Titan's head, as Aaron's Titan would slump down, with Eren coming out of its nape. As Eren is currently unconscious, with Hera coming out from the armored Titan's nape, as Pieck and Annie still can't get over how amazing her fighting style is after years of knowing her. With both their Titans, with both Hera and Eren's Titans beginning to basically evaporate into nothingness. With them then taking Eren, since he's unconscious, back to the dorms, as they'd basically place him in his dorm room. As Pieck and Annie and Hera would then go out for a night on the town. As they'd be walking through in their casual civilian uniforms, not in their military uniforms. With them basically going out to some restaurants and having their dates, having a date, as they would be enjoying themselves quite a lot, as when they come back, they hear Eren just raging at the fact that he lost, and stating that he has all. Now, here's the thing: Hera, Pieck, and Annie were told about One for All when they were assigned to UA. They were told personally by All Might, Eren would be raging, as he'd be stating that he has All Might's quirk. So how could he lose to somebody who doesn't even have a quirk? With him still being basically raging into the night, as Pieck, Hera, and Annie would just head back into their dorm room, as they would just fall asleep. As the next day would roll around. Now, due to their military training, Hera, Pieck, and Annie wake up like around 5 a.m. 5 to 5:30. With them basically doing their normal training and then headed back in for something to eat. Now, their training mainly consists of combat training with their Titans and combat training in their human forms, as they would also be going over basic motor functions with their Titans, which mainly consists of making sure that they still have full control over them, because there have been instances in the past where they have lost control of their Titans. With Hera, Pieck, and Annie making sure they have full control still, they would then unshift and head back in. With them beginning their next day of assignment, with Aizawa stating that the sports festival will be in a couple days. Now, actually, he came into the dorm and said that the sports festival will be happening 2 weeks from now, since they all have 2 weeks off while UA repaired their security measures. And that during the sports festival, Pieck, Annie, and Hera will be observing. They won't be participating. They'll just be there in case of a villain attack. As Pieck, Annie, and Hera would agree to this, as they would then get back to their usual days. As they would eventually head out to the forest with with some of the students, mainly being Mina, Denki, and I'll say Mineta and Bakugo, follow them sneakily as they go into a forest, as they would continuing their training, mainly combat training with each other, including in their Titan forms, with Hera. Hera is still with Hera and Annie beginning with their combat, as they would be fighting, and it was the fight ending in a tie, with Hera cutting off the female Titan's head, and just before Annie's head was getting cut off, she ends up using her Titan to rip Hera out of the armor Titan's nape, as both their Titans would collapse, with Hera and Annie just laughing hysterically, just saying that was a good saying to each other that was a good match, as Hera would kiss Annie, and Pieck would get jealous and say, "What about me?" as Hera would give her one as well. As Mina is currently pulling her phone out to take pictures of this, but she doesn't know that the flash is on, with the flash from the camera going off, and Annie, Hera, and Pieck seeing this, as they would be very angry and disappointed that students would follow them into a private training area and nearly getting killed, because the fight was quite dangerous, with them knocking over multiple trees. As Hera would tell Aizawa about this, as the people who went out there, the 4 that went out there were put under house arrest for a week, as they were then, as that would be their punishment, with those 4 basically knowing about their relationship, and Mineta, being the perv that he is thinking very perverted thoughts on this. With Hera just putting her face in her hands, as she's embarrassed that people had found out that the 3 of them were dating, as Annie and Pieck would say that that's all right. We were going to get caught eventually, so it would have been better have been caught earlier than never. And Mina told Eren about this, as Eren would have been enraged, because if I'm going to tell you guys this, Eren did kind of have a crush on Pieck, but since he found out that Pieck was dating Hera, Eren just exploded. As soon as Hera came out of the room, he would have charged at her with 100% of One For All charged up. And during her training, she quickly pulls Pieck and Annie in, because they were literally right behind her, as Hera would bite down on her hand, as the Titan's arm would form. As soon as Eren's hand collided with it, there was a massive explosion coming from the dorms, with Aizawa quickly rushing over, as actually all the UA staff rushing over, as they would see Eren Erin's arm broken, and Hera's Titan arm, it basically exploded, but her Titan wasn't fully formed. It was sort of like, it was only the arm was formed. With Aizawa asking what the hell happened, as Pieck and Annie would tell them what happened, as Hera is currently unconscious due to exhausting herself. As Eren would also be put under house arrest for that week. And that is where I'm going to end this off. I do hope you guys enjoyed, and I'm sorry if I haven't really been covering major events. I just wanted to go try something new for some of my what-ifs, because a lot of them were ending quite shortly. So I wanted to try and go into a bit more detail with some of them. So I do hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys next time.